What's up guys, Pablo here with another video, and today we have the unboxing and my first thoughts and impressions on the C1 battery camera by ZOSI. And before we get started, I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to ZOSI for actually sending the camera over in order for me to review it and make this video possible. As already mentioned, the video will only be my first impression on the camera as I've only used it for about a week or so keep that in mind while watching the video. The C1 camera by ZOSI was released in January of 2021 and it retails for $69.99 US. However, the camera has been on a sale price of $59.99 since the company reached out to me to make this video. My friends over at ZOSI shipped this camera in a very interesting packaging which consists of a very thin layer of plastic around the product. The camera comes in a bluish and white box that shows off the camera itself and some of the features that it comes with. The box also displays the app that you're supposed to download in order to set up and use the camera. The outside of the packaging simply slides off, exposing an all-white box that contains the camera and all the extras. The top of that all-white box also slides off and it reveals the quick start guide and the camera itself as it sits inside of a thin protective bag. The camera sits at the top of a plastic piece that, when removed, you guessed it right, reveals another all-white box with all the extras. This final smaller box contains the rest of the stuff that you can use with the camera. And this includes the USB charging cable, magnetic mount, the screw and mount, 2 pieces of double-sided tape, a guide for the screw and mount, a screw kit, and a reset key. One of the first things that I noticed when first looking at the camera was how heavy it is compared to other ones I have come across. Outside of that, the camera has a very unique and interesting design. It's a little bit taller than most, but also not as wide. Again, very unique. For the setup of the camera, following the quick start guide is the most efficient and quickest way to get this done. First, go ahead and download the Cloud Edge app, and you can do this by looking it up in the App Store or scanning the QR code that's included in the quick start guide. Once downloaded, the app will ask you to log in, and if you don't have an account, you can create one or log in with Facebook or your Apple ID if you have an iPhone. Once logged in, the app will send you to the main menu where you'll be able to add the camera. Pressing the button in the middle of the screen or the cross at the top right corner of the screen will send you to a new window where you'll be able to add a new device. After that, the screen will direct you to prepare the camera to be synced up. This will send you to another window where you will connect to your Wi-Fi, since the camera is Wi-Fi enabled and it does not need a base station in order to connect to the internet. Something to keep in mind is that the app will not tell you right away if you typed in the wrong password for your Wi-Fi. Instead, it will bring up a QR code that has to be scanned with the C1 camera in order to begin the syncing process. Now it will send you to a screen where the app is connecting the camera to the network. This is where you'll find out if your password was maybe typed in correctly, as the connection will fail if that's the case. I messed up my password the first time, but even after I typed it correctly the second time, the camera still struggled to connect. I tried it a couple more times until I decided to finally go with what the screen on my phone was saying and get closer to the router with the camera. Once connected, the app will notify you of this and it will give you the option to rename the camera to whatever you want. If an update is required for your camera, a notification will pop up to notify you of it. When it's all ready to go, the app will send you to the camera page where you have different actions, settings, and a couple other things that we'll talk a little bit more about in just a second. Like we mentioned earlier, ZOSI provides 2 main ways of installing or mounting the camera. And these two are the screw-in mount or the magnetic mount. I was going to use the screw-in mount, but ended up giving up on it since the piece that holds the mount together simply would not work. I tried multiple times and it truly seems like I got a defective piece, as it just ended up not working out even when I took the mount off of the wall. And because of this, I ended up using the magnetic mount that is recommended to be installed with the double-sided tape. However, the mount does have a screw opening in the back, so I left one of the screws in the wall and adjusted it enough for the mount to be able to sit there. I didn't want to use the double-sided tape primarily because of the potential of the weather messing with the adhesive and eventually causing the camera to fall. The camera is IP65 rated against different weather conditions though, so you should feel a little bit safer about leaving it outside. Now the app is rather simple to use, primarily because it's a very straightforward app. You access the camera by tapping on the name of the device on the main menu. Once on the camera page, you will immediately go to the live view of the camera. Mind you, and I've run into this issue quite a lot myself, the camera might fail to connect to the internet and the live view and other features will not be functional. I am still trying to figure out what exactly causes the camera to fail to connect to the internet, since the very moment that I had it installed, it was fine. Back to the camera page, you have your main video feedback where you can watch what's going on live, like we've been talking about, any events recorded on the SD card and or the cloud if you're paying for it. When the video feedback is not on full screen view, you have access to the unmute, mute button the HD or SD button to change the resolution, and finally the button to make it full screen. If you choose to go with full screen view, the video feedback will take up the entire screen and it will now provide a couple more features within this view. And these include recording the feed, taking a screenshot, intercom, since you have a two-way audio, the mute unmute button one more time, and the resolution selector. If you don't go into full screen view though, you still have access to these features and a bit more when you're on the camera page. You can turn the motion detection on and off, and you can access the album of clips you have recorded or screenshots you have taken. Also, the camera page provides information like bitrate, Wi-Fi percentage, and battery life, which I have to say the 6000 milliamp battery that comes with the camera has been great, and I have not found the need to charge the battery just yet. However, it's hard for me to guarantee good battery life on the camera since I've only used it for about a week, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Something that heavily influences battery life is how many events or triggers happen throughout the day or throughout a certain time period for the camera to be activated and for it to record those triggers or events. Going off of that, ZOSI claims that the battery life will go up to 3 months when there's 30 triggers a day. And finally, you also get access to the settings on the camera page by tapping on the top right corner of the screen. As mentioned already, the camera has two settings for the video resolution. It can record on high definition or HD and standard definition or SD. I don't see why you would choose SD since the quality of the video is a lot better in HD, but I guess you have the option if you really wanted to. Something else to consider is that the camera is advertised as a color night vision camera, but I was only able to get black and white. I tried messing around with the settings to try to figure out if maybe I was doing something wrong, that I wasn't getting the color night vision, but I couldn't find anything. With two LED spotlights attached to the front of the camera, it's only logical that you would get color night vision, so I don't know if there's something that's not working properly that's stopping it from happening. This was of course a little upsetting since you expect the camera to have a feature and it doesn't work properly, or in this case, at all. One of the highlights of the camera though is that it allows for two types of storage to be used. You can go with the cloud-based service that ZOSI offers through the app, and they actually give you a 7-day trial when you first get the camera. Or you can buy a micro SD card that can go up to 128 gigabytes to locally store the events. I tried both, but I decided to stick to the micro SD card. They have a couple options for their plans for the cloud-based service, but I'm just a bigger fan of local storage. So overall, the C1 battery camera packs a lot of potential for a very good price point, but it fails to perform in certain aspects. And that was it for today's video, you guys. If you liked it or got something useful out of it, please go ahead and hit that subscribe and thumbs up button down below. I would highly appreciate it. And also, if you have the C1 battery camera, go ahead and leave a comment down below with your thoughts and opinions so other people watching can also consider them. Once again, that was it for today. Pablo, out.